Hey people, how are you doing on this lovely day? It's Mikhaila Valletta, also known as the Renaissance Amazon, and I'm on my IG page, Copper Showgirl. I'll save this and repost it to my YouTube. In case you're unfamiliar with me, I am a native New Yorker who lives in Chicago, and I never make videos while I'm driving. I never, ever. I do not believe in people making lives and videos while they're driving. It's never my thing. I've never done it before. But I just been a lot of thoughts on my mind, and I've been busy, so I haven't made any videos like I've wanted to. And I'm going to make a longer video. This video is going to be brief. Right now, I'm in Chicago, headed to get my my raw milk. Oh, yeah, I'm definitely keeping my eyes on the road. I'm a very safe driver. But as somebody who grew up in New York City, you know, I grew up in Harlem, Washington Heights. I grew up in a city full of immigrants, went to school with people from all over the world, had friends from all over the world. In Chicago, it was also very diverse. The neighborhood I live in Chicago is one of the most diverse neighborhoods in America, okay? But, so, you know, immigration can be a beautiful thing, and people of the world, you know, one of the great benefits to growing up in New York City was, to me, it felt like it was the next best thing to being able to travel around the world, because you had exposure to so many different cultures. However, there's always been, you know, a large number of people, you know, who are illegal and benefiting off the country, you know, because I will say that as an American, like right now, things are getting really rough in this country. There's a lot of layoffs. They're only going to get worse. AI is replacing a lot of people's jobs. It's like nobody is safe, okay? Even you have people who had high-paying tech jobs, making $300K a year, jobs, you know, being replaced by tech from low level to high level, right? So there are Americans who want to leave America because they feel like things are getting worse, and I could afford to have a better life if I moved to Mexico or if I moved to Costa Rica. But the thing is that as an American, there's no country that we could go to that would give us all this help, that would even let you get a job, first of all. You know, when Americans move to Ghana, to South Africa, to Costa Rica, to Mexico, to Colombia, wherever Americans decide to move, they come with American money, they come with businesses or jobs in the States. So they don't come there and say, oh, I'm going to move to Mexico and get a job, or I'm going to move to Colombia and get a job, or I'm going to move to Ghana and get a job. No. That's number one. And number two, nobody's giving them free stuff. You can't move to Ghana and be in the streets begging. You can't move to Colombia or Mexico and be in the streets begging. But in America, that happens. You know, you have LA, New York, Chicago, are all cities that gave millions, if not billions of dollars to illegal immigrants, okay? Not even legal. I don't even think legal immigrants should be able to get all of that, okay? There are more resources for immigrants in this country than there are the people that are from here. And I will have a lot to say about that. My grandmother, who was born in 1921 in Florida, St. Augustine, Florida, she always used to say that when I was a kid. She would always tell me, you know, there were things they gave immigrants over us. Like there were certain immigrant groups that came here, they were giving loans to businesses and things that they wouldn't give to black Americans. So to know that that's already true, and there's many programs I've found out about in so many different states where there's programs for refugees to get a house and this and that. There is no place in the world that, as an American, we can be like, our life is rough, let me run over to this country. Nobody's going to help you. Nobody's going to save you. And then people think because you're American, you have an easy life and you have all this money. Which is one thing that I don't like about traveling, because when you travel to poor countries, they're always trying to gyp you and rob you because you're American, and they think that, oh, you just have all this money. You see black Americans moving to Ghana and getting ripped off, spending $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 in what they thought, land they thought they were buying, and then they get ripped off. And there's no empathy. We don't do that to people. When people come to America, legal or not, we don't say, oh, they're illegal, let's try to scam them for everything they have. We hire them. Now, hire them, help them, give them things, give them rights and all kinds of stuff. So, and then there's this thing that people say, everybody's an immigrant. And that triggers me, right? When they say America's the land of immigrants and everybody in America came from immigrants, no, okay? My bloodline has always been here, as far back as I can trace. I have family members who fought in every single war in this country, starting with the Revolutionary War, okay? So I'm American. No white boy can tell me that I'm not American or what American is, because every white person I've ever met in America, they're just a few generations away from immigration. I have had, black people from the Caribbean, from Africa, try to say that, and it's like, no, okay? My roots are here. There's no other country I'm running to, because this is my country. This is my land. I care about what happens here. I come from people who did the work. It breaks my heart to see, like my dad, he will be 83 this year. My dad was, if you follow my work, I talk about my dad a lot in a lot of my videos and my work. I have videos with him speaking about things, but my dad is a black scholar. He was on the front lines of the civil rights movement. He was one of the founders of the first Afro-American Studies Department, which was at UMass Amherst. Dr. J was his student. Natalie Cole was his student. My dad was also one of the founding members of RAM, which is Revolutionary Action Movement, that the Black Panthers came out of RAM, okay? They strategically put the Panthers together. My dad was not a Black Panther. He was a part of RAM, which preceded the Black Panthers. His mentor was a woman named Queen Mother Moore. If you don't know who she is, a woman from Louisiana, she was a very important figure in the civil rights movement that enough people do not know. Look up Queen Mother Moore. Queen Mother was his mentor. Dr. Ben was his mentor. My uncle went to Howard University with Stokely Carmichael, a.k.a. Kwame Ture. My uncle is Jamaican. Kwame Ture is Trinidadian, okay? My uncle wrote his autobiography, Ready for Revolution. My dad wrote the afterword, okay? So I grew up around black scholars. I grew up around black people who were in the front lines. My dad was there the day that Malcolm X was assassinated, which is 5 blocks away from where I grew up in Harlem. So, why do I smell? It smells like chemicals or paint in here. And then my mom is a union organizer, right? She works for the UAW, works with the UAW, which Dr. King was hugely a part of. He was very much involved with the UAW. And when the student sit-in started in 1960 on college campuses, my dad was a freshman at Florida A&M. And he got kicked out for being involved with the movement. So I grew up around not just black scholars, but freedom fighters, people who sacrificed a lot, because trust and believe, you sacrifice a lot to make changes. It takes generations. That's the problem with young people now. When I say young people, I even mean people in their 50s, okay? People in their 40s and younger. Young people now are lazy, and they're not... See, that's the thing I didn't like about Kanye. Well, first of all, where's Kanye now? Because he was the first one to be trying to suck Donald Trump's meat, okay? All up sweating him. Now, I'm not going to say there's not certain things with Trump. There's not certain things that I agree with. There are certain things, like the trans movement, okay? That was ridiculous. And a lot of people, and, you know, I'm going to say, yes, there were always third genders, okay? There were in all indigenous societies, in India, the Americas, in Africa, all throughout the world, it was acknowledged that you had men with female spirits and women with male spirits. That always existed. And they were called third genders, and they would be in a special category. However, a third gender, a male with a female spirit, was put in a category of males with female spirits. People did not say that was a woman. Like, you have RuPaul. RuPaul was always a cross-dresser. RuPaul wasn't saying he was a woman. We all knew RuPaul was a man. We weren't calling him she. Or saying he can go in the woman's bathroom. Or saying that it's okay for him to compete against girls in sports. That's absurd. And besides that, that's what most of the public knew about, especially the Democrats. People were unaware of what was happening in the schools, especially in liberal states like the ones that I live in. You know, in Chicago and in New York, in LA, like all the states with the smart people. To be honest, what they were doing to the kids in the schools were crazy, okay? I can put some links below when I post this video on YouTube, because I came across this information in 2023. A series of interviews with Jordan S. Peterson, where he was interviewing a girl who had been a trans boy when she was a teenager, had a double mastectomy. It was a terrible story, okay? And so a lot of people, I'm not going to get super into that right now because I don't have a lot of time, but a lot of people are unaware of the fact that the largest percentage of trans was teenage girls, especially white teenage girls, white suburban teenage girls more than anything, who were turning to trans boy, right? But the thing is that there are certain states in the country, a lot of people are unaware of this. There are certain states where if your child is trans, okay, at school, you could have a daughter who is trans boy. You have no idea about this, right? When your child goes to school, she's changing into boys' clothes. Her name might be Tracy. That's the name you gave her. But at school, they call her Trayvon. The teachers are not allowed to tell the parents, okay? The teachers are not allowed to tell the parents that this is happening. If the teachers tell the parents, they get in trouble. If the teachers misgender the students, if they call your daughter Tracy she by accident instead of he or Trayvon, the teacher gets in trouble. And that's absolutely unacceptable. Then you have places like New York City, where I'm from, and I'm very much pro-choice, okay? When I was in high school and junior high, when I was in junior high, I did community service at Planned Parenthood in New York City. And when I was in high school, I worked for an organization called NARAL New York, which is the National Abortion Rights Action League. So I've always been very pro-choice, okay? But I will say, you know, and Planned Parenthood has a mixed history, but it has served many purposes. Especially, I remember being a teenage girl in New York and having friends that got abortions, or, you know, and it was easy in New York, or got access to birth control, whatever, through Planned Parenthood, right? And people said that they would advertise in black neighborhoods. I didn't see that in New York City, right? But anyhow, my point is that right now in 2025, in 2024, in 2023, your 12-year-old daughter, okay, could say, I feel like I'm trans boy. And she could call Planned Parenthood in New York City, make an appointment to get puberty blockers and hormones and not need parents' permission. Now, when it came to abortions, as a teenage girl, you could get abortions in New York City without your parents knowing, which I think is good, because you have young girls that get pregnant by their father, by their stepfather. You have young girls who are in a religious family and they really want to have an abortion, but their parents won't let them. And there's nothing worse than making a woman have a child that she doesn't want, because that child will be ruined from the inside out for life. Trust me, okay? But the thing is, you know, I think that was fine. But allowing young girls and young boys to go get puberty blockers and hormones is freaking ridiculous, okay? Because what happens is, when they take these puberty blockers, it blocks them from going through puberty. So they don't sexually mature the way they're supposed to. So what does that mean? That means that they can never have orgasms in life. That means that if they decide they want to have kids, because gay people can have kids, and people say, oh, gay, you can't be gay because you can't have kids. Plenty of gay men and plenty of gay women have kids, right? So just because you're gay don't mean you can't have kids. But you cannot have kids if you take you cannot have kids if you take puberty blockers that block you from going through puberty. So now your sexual organs do not develop properly. You could be a boy, a grown man with a 10-year-old boy's penis, right? So it cannot fertilize any eggs. You're infertile, and you can't have orgasms. So what the hell are you here for if you can't have orgasms or have kids? Neither one. Sometimes people have kids and never have orgasms. Well, that's more true for women. Sometimes people have orgasms and never have kids. But to not have both, what are you on this planet for? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, having orgasms is one of the great joys of life. Like, really, seriously, right? So that's just a torturous existence. And then there's also states where young girls are getting double mastectomies, okay? So they're cutting their breast off. And the parents can't stop it. If the parents try to stop it, they will lose custody of their child. If parents are going through a divorce, let's say it's a mother and a father, and the mother is with the trans thing and the father is not, the father will lose custody of his child because he's not with the trans agenda. And 100% of these kids who go through this, when they get to be 18, you can go on YouTube and you can look. There's several videos, and once you find one, you'll find like hundreds of them. There are several people on YouTube who are like 19, and they were trans when they were younger. And they took all these hormones and puberty blockers, and, you know, some of the boys cut off their penis, and some of the girls cut off their breasts. Some of them got hysterectomies. Some of them didn't get hysterectomies, but they cut off their breasts, and then they got pregnant. So they got pregnant and they have no breasts. Then they have a baby and they have no breasts. Like, do you know how much that messes up your brain? Or a boy who started taking hormone puberty blockers at a young age. So now, hold on. So now the boy is 18 and he's like, okay, I'm gonna go through my surgery to make my fake vagina now, which is a terrible process. I don't care what anybody says. And the people and the parents, and I'm standing 10 toes down on this, and nobody can tell me anything about nothing, okay? Because if I say what I really want to say, I'll probably get in trouble, okay? Because you can't say anything about the trans community unless it goes along with what is politically correct. So that is one thing that I do appreciate, because that is just ridiculous. The Democrats really messed themselves up with two things. One is this whole tranny issue. I'm sorry. And the fact that they try to put it with gays. It's not the same thing as the gay issue. Gay people are gay. It's fine. You know, we've always, like I said, we've always had men who are very feminine. They have a special place in society. We would be bored on this planet if it were not for gay men. What is this car doing? Come on, man. Oh my God. People in Chicago cannot drive, I swear. Oh my God. People in Chicago are the worst drivers ever. I've driven so many places. I'm like, people are retarded. Anyhow. Yeah, we've always had chicks that were dykey with a male spirit. Gay, lesbian, bisexual all day. Cross-dressers all day. But no matter what you feel like in your mind, I have a twin brother. My other half is male. I feel like I could go back and forth between male and female in my head. But I know that I'm not a man. No matter how much I might feel like that. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like a cat. I feel trans cat. I be feeling like a cat on the inside. But I'm not a cat. Even no matter how much I resonate with a cat, and in so many ways I could be like a cat, but I'm not. So I'm going to get more into depth with that in a minute. I mean, I'll do a video tomorrow because right now I'm about to pick up my raw milk in Ukrainian village in Chicago. And they're about to close, so I'm going to finish this video in a couple of minutes. So there's that. And but so even though there's in the immigration thing, I'm going to get more into that tomorrow. I just had to I would continue. No, I need to get my milk. I can't record and do multiple things. I just want to say I have a lot to say about the immigration stuff because I feel like people act too entitled in America. Like when people say, I love Mexicans, okay? I love Mexicans all day long. I fucks with Mexicans, okay? Mexicans are important in the world. But, okay, first of all, I want to say with immigration, I don't feel like Mexico and Haiti, places in the Americas should get priority over people that came from across the ocean. Africans, Europeans, Asians. And there's a lot of European immigrants in Chicago. A lot. This is like Ellis Island. There's also a lot of Chinese immigrants in this country. And there's a lot of Africans coming here too. Like Harlem is full of like so many African immigrants. You know, Ohio. I mean, I knew a Senegalese dude that worked at Bank of America in Ohio, and he was telling me about he helped a lot of French Africans who were coming here get credit cards. And as soon as they got here, they were getting Bank of America credit cards, and he didn't even understand how they were doing that. I feel like they should not get priority over Mexicans, Haitians, and people from the Americas. Because we have an intertwined history over here. The same way people were going back and forth between Mexico and Texas and Arizona, it was the same way Haitians and Cubans was going back and forth to Florida. You know what I'm saying? Like people was moving around in the Americas. But still, even with that being said, every country has borders. And if Mexicans even feel like, okay, well, Mexico was a part of the U.S. at one point, which that's a whole nother thing, because you have to look at the indigenous map, not the map that the Spanish made, because they're no different than the British making up territory. So what the indigenous people who are here, what did they consider the land? I know about Turtle Island. But even if you did want to say that Arizona and Texas and California were a part of Mexico, even if you did want to say that, okay, but there are Mexicans all over the United States. Like there's Mexicans in Chicago. That wasn't a part of Mexico. There are Mexicans in New Jersey, in Pennsylvania. Like that wasn't a part of Mexico. So even with that argument, it's still flawed, right? But even with that being said, if that's the case, then that means that Americans should be able to go freely to Mexico and not get deported. And Americans do get deported out of Mexico. So we should also be able to go to Mexico and stay and do whatever and get all these benefits, and nobody should be able to say anything to us because we're American. And it was a part of, you know what I'm saying, that should go both ways. So I have a lot I want to say about that. More I want to say about Donald Trump because, you know, like I said, there's a couple of things that I agree with him on, even though overall I'm very sick to my stomach over this man. And I will make a more detailed video tomorrow. The sun. I am pulling up, getting my raw milk. So just stay tuned. Just stay tuned for tomorrow, and I will do a part 2, and I will go deeper. Okay? There's gonna be so much to talk about because Donald Trump, every 2 seconds, there's some more shit with him. So Have a good day, people, and take care. Bye.